the end of the regular season. The regular season is over. We're on the first round of the playoffs, and special time for the Homies Fantasy Football League. This is when we like to do our end of year awards. So welcome to the award show. I'm your commissioner, Tim Dowling. Welcome to one and all, our 1 or 2 or 0 viewers for now. I'm sure plenty of people are coming in. Hundreds of people are entering the arena, as Dr. Disrespect likes to say. And I'm joined tonight by a couple co-hosts. Of course, Mr. Secretary, who's been the co-host all year.
Here as always, happy to be here. Happy to be with the man who got second seed. Is that right? You got the second seed?
I ended up getting the number 2 seed, yeah.
By fixing yours and Bobby's game?
By fixing mine and Bobby's game, yeah. There was a stat correction. I don't know if we talked about that. We'll get to it, Sean. We'll get to all the drama. We're also joined by the vice commissioner and 4-time champion, number 1 seed.
Number 1 seed.
The Trappa.
Howdy.
I'm just happy to be with the 1 and 2 seed. I'm the second seed in the consolation bracket.
I love
You're the 11th seed. That's what we call it.
Yeah, second worst.
My favorite thing about having a first round bye is, attaching my trailer to other matchups, and we'll get to them. But like Morgan, the way that your seating fell, I love it. Our matchups in the playoffs, in the bracket that counts, I love them. So yeah, can't wait to give out some awards and then see what happens this weekend.
Alex, I'm not sure we heard you, but it's a little choppy. If that straightens things out. How am I sounding? Doing this live again. And hey, Football Head is of the utmost professional podcast out there. So hang with us. Chun, you hear me loud and clear?
I hear you loud and clear, but your mouth's moving like a subtitled movie.
Classic.
Alex's picture is not moving, but hey,
yeah, that's happening.
We work with live.
Yeah, sure.
Are we good?
Fuck it, we'll do it live.
Hey, if anyone's watching,
Before
Alex,
we get into the awards themselves, I think we
Max looks great. Max's picture is great. Sounds great.
Catch.
Alex, if you're on YouTube right now, could you jump off that?
I'm not on YouTube.
Okay.
This whole StreamYard.
So it says someone's watching on the Chatter Network channel as Chatter Network. But
would not be me. Nope.
All right. Who knows?
Thank you, Dr. Oz. I think
am I fluid on your screen, Morgan?
You're fluid on mine right now.
It's Tim's internet is bad.
Tim's choppy.
I'm using my laptop.
I'll just readdress my intro. I'm thrilled to be here.
I don't know
Thank you, Commish and Secretary, for inviting me on.
Happy to have you.
Truly blessed to have the 1 seed in the defending season.
Okay.
Have you done that before? You get the 1 seed after you defend a season?
I don't know. I'd have to look back. I don't think so, though. And I know we have the added we have the added game this year with the extended NFL season, but it is cool. I think Jordan 1 year went 11-2, so this is the second time that someone's gotten 11 wins. So I was excited about that.
How do you feel the differences this team to last year's team? What team do you have more confidence in?
I think I'm paying too close attention to the matchups that are happening like 2 weeks from now with this year's squad. But I think honestly, here's how it works. I think that last year I was more confident because, to be honest, I didn't think that there was a legit challenger out there. Whereas this year, I think that there are like 3 or 4 teams that are seriously contending for the championship. So even though my confidence isn't that much lesser in my squad this year, I think that a lot of the other playoff teams are like high quality.
That's kind of we've never had a year like this where the playoff teams separated themselves a week early.
Right.
Like everybody was kind of set in stone, and it was just about placing this last week. But with the weeks or the years before, it's always come down to the wire with at least 2, even 3 teams sometimes.
Correct.
And I think the playoff teams this year were just always well stacked all season long. I mean, you can look at them; they're all averaging over 100 points a game. While the shitty teams like mine and Max's, Maleg's team, we weren't averaging 100.
I mean, well over 100 in some cases. I think that, like Tim's team, my team for a little while there, I think was north of like 120 a week. But I imagine Tim and Camille, and I mean, Jordan's the points. We got to give Jordan credit, even though he's playing still this weekend. He ended up leading the league in points this year. So hats off to Kev. Had a great run there to close out the year. I haven't been, okay, here we go. Some inside baseball. Our little group chat between the 4 of us is kind of blowing up right now. What's it saying right now? Because I'm recording on my phone.
He said, I have Google Chrome on my laptop. Tim saying, fuck, man, try downloading Google Chrome. That's what Max said. And Tim said, I have Google Chrome. Commissioner, you need to take some of this. If you win the league, get better internet with that money.
Well, I don't want to just, the show must go on, right?
Yeah, let's get into.
We go through the power rankings, the final power rankings of the season.
Final regular season power rankings.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, all right, from the bottom, Tim's pad Max at the bottom for what, 7 weeks, 8 weeks now. Oh my God, finishes the season 2-12. He comes up with a clutch win this week against Bobby, I think by 1.5, maybe 2 points, with a low score of 63. I don't know what happened. Literally, I looked back Sunday at the scores, and granted, my score was low. I saw Matt scored low. I think we had 3 guys, though, below 70.
Yeah, a lot of tough injuries, and that was the case in this matchup where all Bobby needed was like 2 or 3 points from Ramondre Stevenson on Monday night. And not only was, Kyler Murray ruled out very early on in that game, but Ramondre went out before he could get the points that Bobby needed, and Max was able to skate away with that second dub.
Yep. All right, I'm at the 11th spot, the Chubby Chasers. I finished the season 3-11. I had a couple close games to finish out the season, and I don't think my score was that bad this week with 90 points. Without Darren Waller, Daniel Bellinger went out early. Damian Pierce got injured in the third quarter.
Yep.
It is what it is. Tampa Bay gave me a big goose egg. I was thinking that was going to be a hell of a game with Tampa Bay taking apart Mr. Irrelevant and the 49ers, but they ended up getting beat the shit out of them with -4 points. The number 10 spot is the reigning Skunk Boy, who had the lowest score of the week, 60 points. Us 3 in these last 3 spots have been the same. The 8th spot is, the 9th spot is the Blonde Bombers. Like we said last week, Lou misses the playoffs for the 3rd time in 14 years.
Yeah, that's just wild.
And then Mahomes and the Brittle Ballers fall in at 8. They're just injury riddled, but Mahomes is carrying his team. I don't think Blaine has a chance at being the Skunk. As long as he has Mahomes on his team, he'll score big points.
Yeah, and this is the time of year, and we can get into this later, but this is where the real life X and O's kind of come into play with fantasy, where Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the Chiefs are vying for as good a playoff spot as they can get. And so to have those studs on your team that aren't going to be taking any snaps off as we play in the fantasy football playoffs is a huge, huge benefit.
Yeah. And then to round out the consolation bracket for the Skunk is Red. Penny, for your thoughts. Red's had it up and down year all year. We've been calling him out. saying this is what to do to fix your team. He doesn't listen. Has Rex Burkhead, which, hey, Red, you should have kept him for this week with Damian Pierce out.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I think Red actually has a chance of being the skunk as well.
Well, so that was going to be my next question about these two 7-7 teams. So they're 500 by record, right? So if you imagine that is like say that's like a 50-cent piece, right? And it's standing up on its edge. Which way do either of those teams fall for you? Does one fall more towards like the win column, and then is there another one that falls more towards the loss column for you? Because I think like what you were saying about Blaine is he's leaning more towards the win column, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of that 5-5
with Mahomes.
Yeah, but then
Nick has Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs though, and for some reason the coin always falls good for Red.
True, very true. Yeah, I would not put money on them to be the skunk, but of course anything can happen. I mean, we just saw, like you said, a lot of low scoring performances.
And we'll break down those who we think will be the skunk week by week, but we'll get into that in the breakdown. Now let's get into the playoffs, the real playoffs. At the 6th spot, damn it, Bobby sneaks in. He has a good record at 8-6. But man, soon as he had a good team, he kind of fell apart.
It feels like he definitely took his foot up off the gas.
I think he worked too much in the month of November and stopped carrying. At the 5 spot, you got Kef, Mr. Unlimited, who, like we said earlier, he led the league in points, finished at 8-6, and has had a good season and a great turnaround. I think he kind of started out slow, but he made the right moves to be nominated for Manager of the Year this year. Is that
Welcome
the
commish?
Back,
yeah, we'll see. I mean, apparently you don't need me.
You sound winded.
Yeah, I'm a little frustrated by the technology here. Phone,
Ramps.
I'm on my laptop now. Obviously, I'm still choppy as fuck.
Well, we can hear you loud and clear a lot better.
Yeah, you sound great.
Okay, cool. Picture's choppy, but audio's all right, huh?
We were just getting to the top 4 in your power rankings if you want to bring us home.
You're with the ball hogs at 4.
I did drop I dropped Kefler to 5 and I put ball hogs up there. Ball hogs scored like 160 this last week. And he's just solid. I mean, Colin's having like the best fantasy year he's ever had. I think he would say that as well. He feels great about it.
And he'd have the best
still
team
haven't
in 2018.
Seen, yeah, we still haven't seen even like really, I think, the peak of like Christian McCaffrey and what he can be capable of with San Francisco. Yeah, he's had like, the run, pass, and catch game. But I think we'll see more of that moving forward. And he put up 160 without, I think the big thing is without Justin Fields this week. So that's why I put him 5, and he is the 5th seed.
You have him 4, actually.
Oh, fourth seed.
Yeah.
I just kind of stuck with the standings here. And then Camille, he took a L. He had lost to Colin, but still kept him above Colin, but he drops down to 3. Like I said, in the power rankings, those who have Jalen Waddle, Mike Evans, and George Kittle, which Camille has all 3, those are solid names, but man, their floor is like a real floor. We're talking like sub 5 points for their floor, and that's exactly what happened this last week. So yeah, they got big boom, but the consistency isn't quite there. I put myself number 2. I think this is the highest that the commissioners have been ranked all year. I'm pretty sure.
Why didn't you put yourself at 1? You afraid of cursing yourself?
Yeah, that's a big part of it. Definitely. I think on paper, my team looks like a championship team to me. 10 wins, matching my most ever in a season. Like I said, I feel good. I was right about a lot of players this year. And I was right about Baker Mayfield too, leading the Rams back for a touchdown, Sean. So stick that in your pipe and smoke it. And then number 1, of course, 11-3. AMAC, I mean, you're unstoppable. I don't know. It's obviously you've got a knack for this in this league. It's undeniable, and impressive as well. Even though, as I've alluded to, I don't think your team looks like an 11-win team on paper. Besides Josh Jacobs and Jalen Hurts, I guess that's all you need.
This is why we're the scrappers, though, right? Like I've in the years that I've done well, I feel like I've never really had a superstar on my team, and yeah, like Jalen Hurts is probably going to be the MVP of the league, so he is a superstar. But at the same time, I think you are very accurate in your analysis here. Morgan and I were talking while you were indisposed there for a minute, and he was asking me how I felt about this team in comparison to last year's squad. And while I think that the bones are basically the same, maybe the wide receiver core isn't as strong as it was last year, but last year it was Deontay Johnson and Hunter Renfrow actually kind of carrying the way there, just with safe floor PPR performances. But the difference in this year is that I think the rest of the league is much more balanced, especially in the playoff teams. Like you can have those strong teams that surge late in the year but still don't make the playoffs, and we have a few of those where, like, you know, oh, I'm happy this person or this player is on this team because they're in the consolation bracket or what have you. But this year I feel like a lot of strong players are on playoff teams. So whereas last year I was more confident because I didn't think that the league level was as high, this year, although I feel similar about my team, I think that the rest of the league and the playoff teams are of a pretty high caliber.
Yeah, and I think we've got one person to thank for that, and that's probably the skunk, or the most likely skunk. I mean, usually in this league, there's like a 7-7 team that's like the 6th seed, and we usually don't know all the seedings or who's even in the playoffs until week 14. But we had a whole week where we knew, and so it feels like this year more than any other, we've had the poorest of the poor and the richest of the rich, like a lot of just discrepancy across the league table this year. And you're right. I think that there's like 3 or 4, like I really don't see Bobby as having much of a shot right now, especially with Ramondre Stevenson not being healthy. Devin Singletary having a lot more competition for touches in the Bills backfield.
Yep.
With the resurgence of Jamar Chase, that drops T. Higgins down. So I really don't see Bobby's team having the caliber to win it all. But, you know, anything could happen. And then Kefler's team, do you guys agree with Bobby? I'll let you speak on that, I guess.
I agree on Bobby's team. His team is drowning slowly. I wanted to bring up Camille's team with, if Lamar Jackson doesn't play the first week of the playoffs, I mean, that's no good for him. He's had a solid team with Lamar Jackson at quarterback, and we saw his team without him last week. And what if he's won and done the playoffs this year after being a top 1 or 2 team all year?
Yeah, the Lamar Jackson thing really hurts Camille. Hopefully he returns, but I mean, he needs him this week, and he's not going to have him this week. He did put down quite a bit of money, I believe, for Jared Goff. Is now going to be his go-to quarterback.
We saw how that worked out for Max.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Lions are playing better.
2 different teams.
Yeah, I mean, that's a volume play, right?
Absolutely. Oh, Bobby's tuned in. Yeah, Bobby, we don't think you're going to win.
Well,
slowly drowning, Bobby.
But to be honest, there isn't one team, and this is kind of getting to what I was saying, is that there's not really one team that I feel like doesn't have the capability to explode for like 135 points. And for the most part, 135 points is going to get you a win. Yeah, I mean, maybe it's Camille's team without Lamar now that we're a bit hesitant on, or maybe it's Bobby's team because of a few injuries. But I mean, yeah, I could see it out of your team, Tim. Could certainly see it out of Jordan's team. Colin's team just proved it. And that's, for the most part, been around my average, like the 115, 120 range this year. So
I'm feeling better to be on the side of the bracket that I'm on, because I believe I'll have to face either Bobby or Camille. and you'll have to face either Colin or Kefler next
Mhm.
week.
Mhm.
So
Which is
And,
funny because those are actually the lower seeds, but probably the more explosive teams.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think
Yeah,
Kepler's
these
team
numbers.
is quietly scary, and it like Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor, to have them both in a playoff run is solid. And same with James Conner. With Kyler Murray's injury not being there, they're going to be running the ball a lot more. And then we've seen Roquan Smith have one of the best years. He's been quiet the last few as he was traded to the Baltimore Ravens, but he's coming out of nowhere now, playing crazy. And that Niners defense is scary good.
Yeah, and he has the Patriots defense too. He's had the Patriots and the Niners defense all year, which is good defense against other people in the league, right? So to hoard that.
Well,
Don't
and the
forget
other
about
fun
Dak
thing,
Prescott.
yeah, I mean, those roster stashes are very important this time of year, but also this is, the records reset, right? We can talk about these season averages for points, the points scored, the overall records, but everyone's 0-0 now, and we are really here just to play the matchups, right? Obviously, you have your studs, people who you aren't going to sit, but it will be interesting to see if anybody over the next 3 weeks plugs in a waiver guy, or if it is just a bunch of defensive moves trying to stash players so that somebody doesn't get played against you, because those are the ballsy kind of moves where if you start like your boy Morgan last week for the Lions, Jamison Williams comes back, rookie season, and catches that 40-yard touchdown pass. If you have the balls to play somebody like that, it can make the difference right now. So it's really exciting.
So Bobby has another comment here about no week 13 stat corrections. So we need to go back in time a little bit and address the week 13 game between Bobby and I.
It was last Thursday morning, we've noticed.
I think it was, it was on Monday night. He had Taysom Hill and seemingly won the game by like 0.5 points. Like it was less than 1 point of a difference margin. So
I believe it was 0.2.
0.2. Yeah, it was really small. We go to bed Monday. I lost. Okay. I write the power rankings. I lost. Okay. Tuesday happens. Wednesday, I think I wake up and all of a sudden my record is 9-4 rather than 8-5. And I think it's just my phone doing what my fucking screen is doing right now, just glitching out, not fucking loading properly. I check it, and sure enough, I go back to the score, and all of a sudden it has me winning by 0.5 points. And the stat corrections on ESPN say that they're not fully updated until
The following
Saturday.
Yeah.
And they never did
Count.
they never did list the stat correction. Bobby, if you were, on top of your game and actually paying attention, you would have known right then and there which player had the stat correction. Because I know I would have, because I know my fucking team scores. So take a little
Shots
responsibility for your own
fired.
fucking team, maybe. But AMAC and we did do the comparison because you had screenshotted the score on Monday. And so it turns out, like usual, stat corrections are most common amongst defensive players where it's either an assisted tackle or a solo tackle. And so Eric Kendricks, I believe, was credited with a solo, and it got corrected to an assist. And that's the 0.5 difference that ultimately, honestly, didn't matter. Because if my record was 9-5 and Bobby's record is 9-5, I still would have the tiebreaker on points at this point to be the 2 seed. So it's actually a huge wash. And again, it's fake news. It's a misnomer. It's a witch hunt. It's a hoax. Get off my fucking
You sound
back.
like somebody.
Get off my back. I earned the 2 seed. I earned it.
You took
I'm
the
coming
2
for the
seed.
belt.
All
So,
right.
we put that to bed.
I guess. I mean, I'd be pissed too. You won by an assisted tackle, and that assist came from a stat correction. I hate the IDP.
Winning is winning. It's a game of inches. I don't, put
Bobby,
up
join my
one.
vote. Get rid of the IDP.
Yeah, it might be the IDP's fault, but that was a close game. It's a coin flip, that one. That's what makes it fun.
Well, let's hop into waiver wires real quick. Commish, you spent $14 on your dog, Marlon Mack.
Yeah, this is definitely just like a lucky rabbit's foot move. I don't expect that my $14 were going to be put to very good use.
Why a lucky rabbit's foot? You've only been the runner-up.
What are you talking about? I've won the league. What are you talking about, John?
Well, most recently, you've been runner-up, probably with Marlon Mack on your team.
I don't know. I just, he's my boy. I want to get him a belt, and he had an explosive play for Denver, which is one of the more explosive plays they've had all year. So I feel like he's going to usurp Latavius Murray. I still got Nyheim Hines waiting for him to do something, but I think my lineup, I have no headaches. I think I'm just sticking in with what I got in the lineup. So it's just kind of a fun move. I don't really care about it. He's not going to see my lineup or anything.
Here's an error by us. Gritty Boy picks up. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, speaking of explosive plays from Broncos skill position players, let's do our victory lap on Jerry Jeudy being a better prospect this year than Cortland Sutton. Right, Morgan?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cortland Sutton's dog shit.
I wouldn't say that. But that was a debate.
Sorry, his quarterback is dog shit.
There we go.
All right. Gritty Boy picked up Trevor Lawrence and dropped Jared Goff.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Picks up Sunshine. Going into the playoffs with Trevor Lawrence, I think is a smart move. Trevor Lawrence's playoff schedule is looking like Dallas, New York Jets, and then Houston for the championship game if Camille can make it that far.
I don't like that move. I don't like that. I saw that earlier. I think the Lions are on the rise. Yeah, Jacksonville's playing well, but Dallas?
He's looking for that garbage time, those garbage time air yards.
And then the Jets?
Well, Lawrence has gotten a few rushing touchdowns over the last month of the season as well, too. And those go a long way. Yeah, he's big around the goal line, especially with, some question marks in that backfield.
Yep. Kev picks up Damian Harris and drops Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt has a... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and this just once again, Bobby, you're just sitting on all that fab. Ramondre Stevenson goes down, and you don't make a play for another Patriots running back. And now maybe Ramondre comes back healthy, and he's good this week, but
you need to win this week.
You need to win this week, and Ramondre was in street clothes by halftime. So, that just doesn't look good. Yeah, so wild that Kefler got him. We'll see if he makes his way into his lineup, but that goes back to what we were saying a minute ago. It's more of a defensive move than anything else, whereas it could have really benefited another squad.
Yeah, that's been the critique. Once Bobby locked up that 8th win in a playoff spot, he's checked out, and he's just sitting on the fab and not making – there's been a handful of moves could have made, but his whole motivation is not to sing that national anthem again, and like I said, that's good enough.
Check that off. Some more moves. Camille picks up the Broncos defense, dropping the Steelers defense. Max picks up Panthers defense and Dare Ogunbowale.
That's right.
Not Rex Burkhead, who's going to be getting the ball. And then he picks up Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy, the underdog, a true Max story.
I feel like the third.
He picks him up for 11 minutes.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Max tends to do this. So Max will peruse. He's like, oh, I like him. Oh, there's that guy. Oh. So, yeah, Max does that. And then he adds Mike White. Drops Brock Purdy. Adds Elijah Moore. Adds Dre Greenlaw. And drops his dog, TJ Edwards. Did TJ Edwards get hurt? Am I missing something? Or
I don't know. But 9 transactions between 4:04 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. from Max. Not
What was he doing at
He
3:59
has
a.m.?
not learned his lesson. I thought he learned his lesson about these early morning, half awake, half baked ideas. This is now the third transformation, the third iteration of this team. His team has gone through 3 full revolutions.
How many moves has he made, and how many more is that compared to the or the least moved team?
we can certainly look that up. Look that up.
I would, but my computer's steaming, so I don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
I
Skunk
know
Boy.
it's like almost twice as many as the second team. Like he's closing in on 100, I think.
Skunk Boy is picking up Brock Purdy now. And that
You're
is,
evolving, Max, not evolving.
Matt's team has definitely regressed because of the Kyler Murray injury. We were so downtrodden on his team to start out the year. I mean, we didn't think he was going to get a win. And then he finished out the year strong, but the final week of the year, in true fashion, just takes out Kyler Murray. I think Matt is going to be back-to-back skunks because of this.
And he loses to who? But the back-to-back skunk Red. Or no.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. a bit
So
of a passing
may
of
have
the torch.
passed the curse on.
Okay.
Um,
Max has made 71 moves this
Okay.
year, 71 acquisitions, 70 drops. The next closest is Blaine with 46.
Wow. Yeah, almost twice as much.
Yeah.
what is the least amount of moves?
The least amount would
Probably
be
Lou.
it's actually Nick
Or
with
Red.
17.
So
Yeah.
there's a middle ground between 17 and 71.
And that's where most people are, kind of between that 20 and low 40s range.
Yep.
Yeah.
Matt goes ahead and picks up Tyler Higbee, drops Greg Dulcich. And then Commissioners picked up Danny Dimes. You finally did it. You dropped Naheem Hines.
I did, didn't I? Yeah, I'm bummed. But Tua has kind of had a slump the last few weeks. I just want some insurance. My whole depth is just insurance plays. So yeah, and Danny Dimes, he's the 10th ranked. I think he's ranked higher than Tua. So yeah, I just wanted insurance.
Okay, and Bobby picks up Tutu Atwell, drops Allen Robinson when we told him to do so last week.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Too little, too late.
Yeah.
Well, that does it for the waiver wire. Let's take a break and go to hear something from the Chatter Network. Or is that because we're live, we're not doing that?
We're presented by the Chatter Network.
Yeah. But we
So
can
give
keep
them
that for
two
the
commercials.
keep that.
Producer.
No breaks. Keep dancing.
All right, you heard the man. So, I don't know about you guys. Do you guys want to get into the nominations and awards, or do you want to pick winners and losers?
No, Tim, take it away. He can see us through this.
I think we should. Let's do the nominations and the awards right now. So we have 5 awards. 4 of them are good awards. 1 is like a consolation award. We'll start with the Injury Bug Award, where you thought your team, you drafted it well, you got the names, you got the talent, and for some reason, not just one big injury, but several big injuries occur to your squad, and it tanks your season before we're halfway done. The nominees are Blaine Glasgow. He had Patrick Mahomes, Dalvin Cook. Those were the stars. They stayed fairly healthy, but I think he had Elijah Mitchell. He had Keenan Allen, who was hurt, Dallas Goedert, Cortland Sutton, Those were all pretty big injuries to Blaine's squad. I don't know who his original RB2 was. It must have been Elijah Mitchell, I think, for the 49ers. But Keenan Allen was a big miss. So Blaine was one nominee. Another nominee, Matt. Matt had Jonathan Taylor. We know how Jonathan Taylor was not healthy for the early part of the season. You also had J.K. Dobbins, who has missed most of the season as well.
And now Kyler.
Now Kyler Murray, who he has just straight up dropped, also on his squad. So those were big injuries for Matt. And then Lou is our third nominee. I think the big injury, I know Hollywood Brown was hurt for a while. Kyle Pitts, not that Kyle Pitts was really producing for him anyways. Maybe that was a favor. It's hard to look at his roster now. Oh, Kenneth Walker was hurt for a little bit, but it looks like he's in line to play on Thursday. Treylon Burks is questionable. Is he going to play? Didn't practice Wednesday. So while there hasn't been maybe one glaring big season-ending injury, I think a lot of these teams have suffered from just like multiple weeks, multiple months from really key contributors and just could never quite put it together. So those are the nominees.
I have a gripe. Not that it should be about me, but I missed my first round pick and my third round pick, and I wasn't in the injury.
So
Here's Mark Chase and who else?
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, Morgan. I am
Darren
looking
Waller.
I'm looking at the IR activations right now, and our three nominees that we've already listed have, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's 7, 7, and 9. You have moved 8 people into IR as well. So the injury bug did certainly jump up and bite you this year.
Mm-hmm.
We will.
And it was my
we'll
first and third round pick.
Okay. Well, shit, you're speaking up a little too late. Why didn't you bring that up earlier, man? We did nominations like 4 days ago.
I just want to let the world know I'm upset. I should be up there.
Well, you should have said it 4 days ago when we were talking behind closed doors. You
It's
get
all
a
good.
consolidated nomination. You can't receive any votes at this point. But the votes are in. And
winner?
the injury bugged winner goes to what the hell is this guy's name? Too many cooks in the kitchen. Mahomes and the Brittle Ballers. Blaine wins injury bugged. Congratulations, Blaine.
You have an excuse.
And you got an excuse. you had renamed your team Brittle Ballers like after the first month of the season. So you really wanted this, obviously. And you got it, man. You are the Brittle Baller of the Year, the Injury Bugged Award.
Is that the new award name? The Brittle Baller of the Year?
It should be, Name it after Blaine and curse him. Yep. Nice. Okay. Second award is the Comeback Team of the Year award. Now, the comeback team is either someone who is coming back from a skunk, perhaps, or a poor record, or a drought of missed playoffs, or started the season poorly and then got on a roll and made the playoffs this year. Yeah. The nominees for Comeback Team of the Year are Matt Legg. Believe it or not, I know he's 4-9, not doing that great, but that just shows how bleak it was for him. Being the skunk last year, he started 0-6. People, he started 0-6. Finished
4-3 with 2 games close.
Yeah. So Matt was a nominee for comeback. Kefler, nominee for comeback team. He was 4-10 last year. 4-10 last year. Also starts the season a little rough, I think more around 500, and now finds himself in the playoffs as well at an 8-6 record, I think. So Kefler, congratulations on the comeback nomination. And then Colin. Colin is also nominated for comeback team. He was 6-8 last year. Has not made the playoffs since 2018. A 3-year drought for Colin here. Finds himself at a 9-5 record. And then myself, I'm nominated for comeback team of the year.
Does he have come on your back?
I missed the playoffs the last 2 years. Last time in 2019 with a 6-7 record. I haven't had a winning record though since 2017. Wow, that sucks. But hey, 10-4 this year. Obviously the 2 seed. So I got a nom there. And the winner for comeback team of the year. It's me. I won. I won by 2 votes. I won by 2 votes. Yep. Comeback team of the year. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but better than nothing. The next award we have is the Waiver Wire Wizard Award. This award goes to somebody who has not just made a high quantity of waiver moves,
not Max,
but someone who made quality waiver moves. And there's always a few names that kind of pop up on this nomination every year, and we're looking at Mr. Jordan Kefler. I think is a perennial nominee for the Waiver Wire Wizard, as well as Blaine Glasgow is always very active on the waivers. And someone who's been a savvy manager, even if he is the former skunk, Matt Legg is another one who's good at the waivers. These guys have an eye for diamonds in the rough, for that good deal, the discount baller that they can find. And I don't think any of them spent a lot of money, but I think all of their budgets were put to good use. It's not like they're sitting on their money either. So that's something to note.
Like Bobby.
Yeah, like Bobby, which I appreciate him tuning in. But the winner, and let's see, did he win this? I started tracking the winners of these awards last year. Who won last year? Who is this? I think Kefler won last year. No. Glow won it last year. The winner this year, drum roll please. Kefler, Jordan Kefler, Waiver Wire Wizard. You got the most votes for the waiver. I think it's certainly well-deserved. Your team, Dak Prescott picked up. Patriots defense. I only know those because those were some of mine. But
getting
Chris
rid of Mark
Olave,
Andrews for Jonathan Taylor.
He made some trades as well. But he transformed his team. It's pretty incredible. Who else? Oh, Dalton Schultz. That was another big pickup that he had. Big contributor. He just picked up Damian Harris, so he's been fairly active. And then it's kind of interesting. The next 2 awards are, I think, the most coveted. The next one is Best Draft. We love a good fantasy football draft here at the homies in Hey Football Head. And the nominees for Best Draft, and the way we kind of figure this one out is like, well, I guess just how many people are still contributors and on their team from the draft. Pretty easy. Best Draft is Colin, Camille, Bobby, and Amac, Alex. Those are the 4 nominees. I know Colin had, a lot of those big names. I think Travis Kelce was probably worth a first-round pick this year. He went first in a lot of last year's draft. It didn't live up to that, but this year I think it would have been warranted. But he got him in like the 3rd or 4th. Camille had a very interesting draft strategy. went with a lot of handcuffed running backs, RB2s.
Mr.
on
Steele, your
depth
running
charts.
back.
And it ended up paying out for him when he actually went Justin Jefferson, Jalen Waddle, Mike Evans, George Kittle kind of first, and then waited on guys like Tony Pollard, Khalil Herbert even. Also, Bobby, great draft. Again, kind of went young. We've talked about that a lot. Travis Etienne, Ramondre Stevenson, Joe Burrow. All these guys had really great years for you. And then Alex, of course, just a savvy draft. Do you have any words to say for yourself about your draft?
No, a lot of the acquisitions that I made, I feel like were bye week fill-ins, and that the team that I drafted, I was able to stick with most of the year. Obviously, health has a huge role to play in this award. Whereas
stay healthy.
You got to stay healthy. Whereas those other teams like Morgan's, for instance, if you lose 2 of your first 4 or 2 of your first 5 round draft picks to injury, your draft is not going to look great by no fault of your own. I was lucky enough to have the 3 running backs that I drafted first, Kamara, Fournette, and Jacobs, all stay relatively healthy throughout the year. And then same with Jalen Hurts. I mean, that was just like incredible value getting him in the 6th or 7th round.
I think you getting Josh Jacobs probably best individual pick of the draft, just value wise. Same with Jalen Hurts as well. But the league voted on it, and the winner of best draft goes to Camille. Not even close.
Hey.
Camille, hands down, gets the vote for best draft.
And it's his draft is so unique. 3 wide receivers in the first 5 rounds.
Yeah,
I think it stands out.
But we talked about this earlier. I think a few weeks ago. I said his wide receivers, and then he has a running back at quarterback. His quarterback isn't always going to put up running back numbers, but 3-4 games a year he will. And Lamar Jackson did. And that's what got him to that W's.
Yeah. Last year's winner was Lou, which is interesting. Lou, I think, he's the one who got Saquon Barkley, I think, in the 2nd round this year. Had a decent draft, but again, the injuries just killed it. You're right. Comes back down to health. Okay, well, that leaves us with manager of the year. And manager of the year is kind of a good, just all of these, waiver wire, draft, lineup changes, making the right plays, no errant trades or drops, just kind of it all wrapped up in one. And typically this team, has had to have qualified for the playoffs to really earn a nod for this one. We've got 3 nominees for manager of the year this year. They are, once again, a perennial nomination. Jordan Keffler, from the start that he had, the injuries and all the waiver wire moves. Keffler's a nominee. Camille, who had the best draft, is another nominee. And then Alex, with a lot of other
defending champ and top seed.
Yeah, he's 11-3. It speaks for itself. So those are the 3 nominees for Fantasy Football Manager of the Year in our league. And we have a tie. But as I am doing these vote tallies, I realize I didn't vote yet. Oh, wait. No, I counted my votes too. We have a fucking tie. So,
my dad's downstairs working on the basement. Do you want him to decide?
Yeah.
We could have Barry decide.
Well, I think I know who he'll pick because he... Well, actually, I don't know. It's a tie. It's a tie between Keffler and Alex with 4 votes each. And not everyone voted. 2 people didn't vote, Red and Lou.
Well, and I'll just say too, I believe, who did I vote for in this? Because I don't think I voted for myself on this.
You voted for Camille.
Yeah, I voted for Camille.
Colin voted for himself, but he's not even nominated.
Listen, I'm happy to do a I love that you're keeping track of this in the Google Docs though, and so you can't really do a
I can't really
one.
do a
So
tie.
You
yeah,
can do a
however you-
0.5.
I'm going to give it to Alex because Jordan already won waiver wire wizard, and Alex has the best record in the league, 11-3. And I don't think if you look at your team again, like you'd think it's an 11-win team, but it is. And for that reason, I'm the commissioner, executive power, veto power. I think that Alex is the manager of the year, and I'm going to mark it in
agree.
the Hall of Records.
Well, thank you. Thank you for all the support from the league
Congratulations.
mates, everyone who voted.
Don't forget to thank God.
I'm thinking, well, it's funny. I went back and I rewatched our draft video from September, and this is the Kobe year. This is going for, I guess I should do this hand. This is for the fifth ring, right? So manager of the year, I guess, means a lot in that sense, because can't win that without winning the league probably.
No, probably not. But I'm hoping that that's the last thing you win this year.
Well, it's funny though too, right? Because it's not like real sports where you get up and you try harder to beat a certain person. I guess there's a little bit of that in fantasy football, but it's not really like I walk into each matchup with like a bigger bullseye on my back than anybody else, right? Like we all want to beat the person who we're playing that week. But as a defending champ, I think you put more of that pressure on yourself to perform and score a lot of points and make the right moves. So yeah, I don't know what it was about this year, but it felt good from the start, and now here we are as the number 1 seed going into the playoffs. So yeah, thank you.
Especially in a league that carries so much pride and camaraderie in this group of boys. I mean, this is bragging rights for a year.
And right, like I'm not gonna bring up manager of the year in the middle of July or anything, right? But you're absolutely right. Like, you know, we all have a lot of fun with this league, and these awards are a small part of that. So it's cool.
Yeah,
I think it carries over. I mean, now that we're actually tracking it, and I will say that nobody had a repeat award from last year.
Yeah, that's fun.
You had comeback team of the year last year because you were like 1-12 2 years ago, and you won it. And then Blaine won a couple of awards last year. He won both waiver wire and manager of the year, but there were no like repeat winners. So everyone who has won an award just has only won it once, according to since the history of us recording this right now. So I think that's pretty neat too.
Well, yeah, that shows that people actually take what they've experienced and transition that into the next year. You know, they've learned from their mistakes, or they've figured out something that works for them, and they're able to become a better fantasy manager for it. And so that's fun. We're not just like throwing shit at the wall here and seeing what sticks.
Yeah, and even though you've won the league the most, like this is gonna, you know, you're going for your fifth. We haven't had a lot of repeat winners, and there's a lot of parity. I think if we look at the Hall of Records, there's only 2 teams that have like a sub 500 winning percentage. Everyone else is over 500. 10 out of 12 teams have won more games than they've lost. Actually, now that I think about it, I think I have a couple corrections on that Blaine pointed out the other day. But my point is, it's still very competitive, and it's not like there's just one person always winning. You know, everyone has a decent chance every year. There's always a shot for it. So that's what I think makes it so fun and competitive, is you always feel like you have a shot, and everyone, for the most part, even, you know, there's been some slackers here and there, but I think the level of effort that the majority of the league puts in has really brought up guys like Colin, guys like Red, who maybe in the past weren't paying attention as much, and now they know. I really, you know, it's more fun when I'm paying attention. I have to pay attention in this league every week.
Hear, hear.
All right, well, let's get into the playoff bracket, the exciting part. Let's get back into games. Let's break down the losers bracket first.
Okay.
I do want you guys to look at that losers bracket and tell me your picks for the skunk this week. Who will be the skunk by the end of it all?
Whoever loses the game between you and Max.
Oh,
Because then what's going to have to happen, and because we've seen this in the past, because of the seeding, if Max wins this game, he still has to win another, correct?
yes.
And Morgan,
Yeah.
if you lose this game, then obviously you have to win
Mm-hmm.
2 out of, or you have to win one of the next 2 games.
Yep.
So whoever loses that game is really behind the 8 ball. But that's not to say that some of these injuries, like that Matt's experiencing right now, can't totally derail his. He would be back-to-back skunk, of course. And Nick's down there as well, with some bad recent history. But no, I think it's the loser of the game between you and Max. And once we get to that, I'll make my pick for who I think is going to win or not. But haven't really looked at the numbers yet.
All right. Tim, who are you picking for skunk?
There's a difference between who you want to be skunk and who you think will be skunk, right?
I know who you want.
Yeah. Who?
Me. You got to remember, knock on wood, I am the skunk dodger. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a skunk.
I'm rooting for Max to pull this dive bomb out from a crash and burn, but I just don't think his team has enough potential to score enough points to actually win 2 games. He just put up 63 last week. It was sad.
With a full lineup.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Max. I just think that the 5 trades that he made it's too much to overcome.
The highest drafted guy on Max's team is probably a 3rd round pick.
Yeah.
And none of these guys next year will be in the top 3 rounds. Maybe Mark Andrews.
He literally traded his whole team away for trades. He traded it for trades. That's what he got out of it.
Traded it for a skunk.
Yeah, that was unintentional though.
All right, let's break down the games. Starting off with Max and I'm rolling out with Deshaun Watson this week against Baltimore, hoping for a shootout. Saturday, midday game at 1:30. I'm benching Kirk Cousins this week. Kirk Cousins is playing against Indianapolis, who has a solid defense. I got Nick Chubb also in that game. I'm playing Isaiah Pacheco playing at Houston, Jamar Chase at Tampa Bay, Mari Cooper in the Baltimore game. Tight end, I'm in limbo right now. Darren Waller was activated today, but who knows if he's going to play. So if he doesn't play, I got to pick up a tight end. A.J. Dillon's in there in the flex right now. I'm flirting with him and Josh Palmer. And then Devin White, Commanders defense playing Danny Dimes, the New York Giants. I like my team. I don't feel strong about this week, though, because Dameon Pierce got hurt, and he is doubtful for the game. He's playing against Kansas City, who doesn't really ever have a good run defense, but it's still all in the same. Dameon Pierce is out. I got to find somebody else, and we'll see about that tight end spot. But I am projected by less than 1 point to beat him without a tight end in the lineup.
Dang, man. After hearing that, I kind of think it's going to be you now.
Well, go ahead. Somebody break down Max's team and tell me he's going to beat me. I got to pick myself. You all know that. If you don't pick yourself, who's gonna?
I'll break down Max. So Max did make some more moves. He's rolling out Mike White, even though he's questionable. Probably fractured his spleen last week, but he's rolling him out. He believes in the hype. The New York Jets got a great matchup against Detroit. Detroit has a shit defense, pass defense. He's got Deontay Foreman against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh hasn't had the best team this year, and Carolina's coming off a big win against Seattle. Especially
but
running the ball.
Chuba
Chuba was kind of the featured back there, wasn't he?
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's not great. Max does not have great volume at running back. I mean, Sean, your running backs are great and they're better. They're not great. They're better than Max's because they actually get the ball. Foreman doesn't
They're
get the
not
ball.
great. Nick Chubb is not great. The 5th ranked
He's
running
okay.
back is
He's
not
good.
great.
He's good. He's good. He's not great. I said it. He's 5th. I guess he's great. I don't know. To quote
a
a
top
wise
5
man,
running back, you
to
think
quote a
would be a
wise
first
man,
round pick.
he's a good running back. I don't
like him.
He's a good running back. I don't think so. Michael
Would you take
Carter.
Miles Sanders over Nick Chubb.
This year, yeah. I don't know. You stop trying to catch me in these things. I've been right all year. You're not going to get me on being wrong about anything this year. I'm never gonna be wrong. So just stop trying. Let's go back to Max's roster. Michael Carter Jr. Michael Carter.
Dropped him.
What?
I drafted Michael Carter and dropped him.
Oh, and now this is his revenge game. I don't think Carter's gonna see the bulk of the carries because Zonovan Knight has kind of been their stud, their undrafted stud. So we know that Max has problems at running back. Terry McLaurin, Sunday night against the Giants. He is Washington's number 1. He's coming off the last time they played the Giants, he had 8 catches on 12 targets for 100 yards and a touchdown. So that's good. Christian Watson happens to be the new favorite target of Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. So he's a feature. Mark Andrews. Now, what to do about Mark Andrews? Obviously, he has slowed down quite a bit. And now without Lamar Jackson and even Tyler Huntley kind of having this concussion, not as clutch as he used to be, but still a solid
2 for 6 last week. 2 catches, 6 targets.
Yeah, not ideal. But still he could. I mean, maybe he does. Maybe that's what the Ravens need to do is to focus on getting Mark Andrews involved in the offense. So potential is still there. He's got the New York Jets stack with Elijah Moore in the flex. Elijah Moore had his best game of one of the best games of the year. He had 10 targets, season high last week for 60 yards. So there is maybe more rapport with Mike White, trying to get him more involved. And then Max, he's switching everything up. He's got Dre Greenlaw from the 49ers at the IDP spot, had a huge game last week, 15 tackles and a pick. Carolina over the Steelers. We had talked about earlier. Carolina's kind of figuring out their chemistry, and the Steelers, with injury to the quarterback, they're lost all year. So he's got Thielen on the bench. He's benching Geno. That's probably smart. I like Max's lineup except for the running backs. There's just no volume there. He totally fucked himself getting rid of Najee Harris, who would have been better than any of these guys. Even at, the running backs might be the difference, but I don't know. On your side of things, it's not a wash. There's no guarantee here.
I think that the injury to Dameon Pierce is the best thing that could have happened to you right now, Morgan, because I don't think there's a way for you to screw up your running back carousel this week, which has kind of been your bugaboo all season long. I think so. Yeah, I think you get great production out of them. And then Jamar Chase should have a decent game. Deshaun Watson, more comfortable. And your specialty positions just have a much safer floor. Whereas, the Panthers just looked good against Seattle. And I know that Mitch Trubisky threw 3 interceptions last week. But still, anything can happen. The Panthers are what their record shows. They've lost a lot of games by giving up points. So, I don't know. I'm picking Morgan.
I'm picking Max.
Whew.
So your pick is me for the skunk.
That's what my heart wants.
Always follow your heart. All right. Next game, you got Red versus Blaine. Too many cooks in the kitchen, and Penny for your thoughts. What a disappointing year for both of them. I shouldn't say perennial playoff teams. Blaine usually is. Red's always on the cusp. But one gets lucky and one has been injury prone. So here we are, Mahomes versus Josh Allen. What a lineup, especially not in the playoffs. How many leagues with teams with Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes aren't in the playoffs this year? Reds got Josh Allen, Latavius Murray, and Najee Harris, Max's cast off. He's throwing in Stephon Diggs to complete the stack that we've talked about all year long, but hasn't helped Red make the playoffs. He's playing the hot hand, Zay Jones. He's got Muth at tight end and Cordarrelle Patterson in his flex. On his bench, he's got Deebo Samuel. Does anyone know if Deebo's playing?
I think Deebo's out for the year.
Thank you.
They're going to have to make a deep playoff run if they want to get him back. But fantasy regular season, yeah, he's not coming back.
He's also got Tom Brady on his bench, who he's had all year long. I think he only played him once this year in the bye week. Gerald Everett at tight end. Red, why do you have 2 IDPs?
Hey, Mosley's a vet. He's a good locker room guy, okay?
And then you got too many cooks in the kitchen. Patrick Mahomes, Dalvin Cook, and James Cook at the running back, completing the name cycle. Keenan Allen and Devontae Humpalot-Smith. Evan Ingram has been on fire since last week, 2 weeks. And then Travis Homer playing, but Ken Walker Jewelers is back this week. So in his flex, I would assume he'll put my boy Gus the Gas Edwards.
Or Rashad White.
Or maybe he'll play Young Ho.
Yeah, Blaine, why you got 2 kickers?
I mean, I think he's probably thinking that a full week of Baker at practice with the Rams, that offense will look good. But at the same time, you got to hedge your bets, I think, and kicking
indoors.
Exactly. Kicking outdoors in mid-December in Green Bay, Matt Gay versus Younghoe Koo, who's a top 10 kicker on the year and playing indoors in a dome. It sounds pretty good.
Get Younghoe Koo in there, and I would get Rashad White in the flex as well.
I mean, yeah, Tampa Bay's playing competitive ball right now. Their record's under 500, but they're still top of that division. So they need to try to control the ball and keep Burrow and the Bengals off the field, and they're going to do that with. They're going to have to do that with Rashad and Leonard.
And
so
Rashad White has more of a role in that offense than Gus Edwards has right now. I mean, I don't think that the Baltimore-Cleveland game is going to be high scoring. I think that those are rough divisional games. J.K. Dobbins had a great week last week. He's back. So I think, and then like we said, Homer's not going to be in there. So even James, I mean, gosh, it's tough to predict the Buffalo backfield. James Cook had that huge week, and then he doesn't do shit last week. So he's got some headaches. I mean, maybe you play Tyler Boyd in the flex, and you get White as the RB2.
Tyler Boyd's injured.
Question mark.
I'm going with Red. The coin always seems to land up for Red.
You talk about how many teams have Josh Allen and aren't in the playoffs. How many teams have Josh Allen stacked with Stephon Diggs that aren't in the playoffs? That's just wild. I think the floor is a lot safer with Nick. Yeah, that bench is not there. That's for certain. But the guys who he's trotting out there look like they can get the job done this week. I'll go with Red.
Took the words out of my mouth. I'm also picking Red. Just a higher floor. I think Buffalo with Miami in town. Miami's been struggling. I think Buffalo reminds them who's the division winner here.
If Blaine wins, it's going to be because Keenan Allen and Devontae Smith go off.
Yeah.
Which could totally happen.
But it could.
Now the third and final consolation game.
Who did you pick?
I picked red.
Okay, we're all on red.
The Blonde Bombers versus the defending Skunk Boy Redemption. The Blonde Bombers are rolling out Justin Herbert, Joe Mixon, Saquon Barkley. Right there, it already sounds like a good lineup. A.J. Brown, another good addition. Treylon Burks, Hunter Henry, and Kenneth Walker playing Thursday night. Kenneth Walker's coming back off an ankle injury. Pete Carroll said he jammed his ankle, whatever the hell that means. But I really like Lou's team. He's got the best IDP in the league, I think, in Micah Parsons. Now, I do have a question mark him playing Cardinals defense against the Broncos. I know the Broncos have been shit all year long, but it all depends if Russ plays or not. If they have Brett Rippon in at quarterback because of Russ's head injury, or if they decide to bench him, which we're all hoping for in Seattle to get that higher draft pick. I don't know if I'd be rolling out the Cardinals defense. I do like Lou's team, and I'm just going to say it right now. I'm sorry, Matt. You are my pick to be the Skunk again this year.
Damn.
Just ravaged with injuries, bad luck, and with Kyler Murray going out, I just don't see it, especially with Brock Purdy at quarterback.
Yeah. Brock Purdy's in there against Seattle on Thursday night. Mr. Irrelevant's been looking pretty strong. He was very impressive against Tampa Bay. Seattle's defense has been really bad. Obviously Purdy is probably good for 10 to 15. That's all you really need from your quarterback usually. Matt would like to see more in this case, but J.K. Dobbins had a good week last year, but again, they're playing at Cleveland. I think those divisional matchups are tough. I think Cleveland has a stronger defense than maybe the stats indicate. McKinnon, a bit hit or miss, but they're playing Houston. He's become the safety valve receiving back there in Kansas City. He might surprise people here in the next couple weeks with his consistency. Godwin against Cincinnati. Tampa Bay needs to win. Tom Brady's going to rally the troops. Godwin's a key piece of that offense. Devontae Adams, he's matchup proof. Count on him every week. Higbee against against Green Bay. Higbee has been kind of a weird player this year, hasn't he? He was like a top 3, top 5 tight end for the first 5 weeks, and then he completely disappeared. He had 2 goose egg weeks. He's been averaging like 2 points since then.
You dropped him back then. You called it.
Yeah, I just the thing about the Rams is they got no blocking, and so tight end needs to come in and help with that.
They've been a one-dimensional team all year. They've had no run game, so teams just drop 7 or 8 guys in coverage, and whether it's been a half-broken Matt Stafford or whoever else they've had filling in, John Wolford or whatever, like teams know how to defend that.
Yeah, they've seen especially when they lost Cooper Kupp, then they freed up a lot of double teams to cover Higbee and other guys. So the Rams are just kind of screwed. So Matt, you might want to look somewhere else at the tight end spot. Higbee is not playable in my opinion. CeeDee Lamb, of course, in the flex. I think Devontae and CeeDee Lamb is the only thing that keeps Matt's teams competitive. Max Crosby's been a really good IDP and a good defensive player for the Raiders. I do like Dallas's defense against Jacksonville this week. And then McPherson, Cincinnati kicker.
We have just no credit given to CeeDee Lamb this year. He's the 6th ranked wide receiver on the season, and just no one's talked about him. He's stayed healthy all year, whether it was with Dak or Cooper Rush. It's been pretty remarkable, and I still don't think he makes it into that top 6 or 7 wide receivers drafted next year, just because of the year that some of these other more established names have had. But, just a quick hats off to CD, someone who I like to make fun of for being skinny and not able to take as big a hits as some of these other bigger body wide receivers. But he's done right by Matt here coming down the stretch.
Certainly. He had the 132-point game against Green Bay in week 10, and everything else has just been a really solid floor. So that's kind of probably why he's flying under the radar there. But yeah, he's the number one in Dallas. I was actually considering him over Tyreek, and good thing I went with Tyreek. Who's going to win this matchup?
If I'm Lewis, he kind of doesn't have a choice. Maybe you do Jamal Williams in the flex and wait and see on Kenneth Walker, because coming back, I know he warmed up last week a little bit, but he was never seriously going to play. But he started to get loose last week. And so then the quick practice turnaround, and now you have the number one rush defense coming to your field. Jamal Williams, all the guy does is score 1-yard touchdowns. And so I feel like that's a bit of a safer floor right there. And I mean, Lewis already has the line here. It's not big. It's just over 5.5 points. But that would be enough to let me comfortably pick Lewis. I still probably will pick him just because I don't know what we can really expect yet out of Brock Purdy. If the Chiefs are blowing the doors off of Houston, how many third downs are they even going to have? And how many times will McKinnon be on the field? And then you're just looking at a handful of pass catchers to try to go against the balanced attack of Justin Herbert, Joe Mixon, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Micah Parsons, who, yeah, he's up and down, hit or miss, but we know that he can have those 20-point games. So yeah, I think I'm talking myself into Lewis here.
Yeah, Lou, I mean, I think Hollywood Brown was really kind of a letdown. He was super solid for him before DeAndre Hopkins was able to play, and then he got hurt, and he just has not returned because it's not super clear that Treylon Burks is going to play this week either. He's in concussion protocol, did not practice today. There's still some question marks there, but the first four players, Herbert, Mixon, Barkley, Brown, compared to Purdy, Dobbins, McKinnon, Godwin, I think that sells
Don't forget
it
about
for me.
Devontae Adams, though. That counts as 2.
Yeah, that's fair. Quick dynasty preview and a look into next year. Morgan, we're going to get to see Drake London with Desmond Ridder this Sunday.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Finally, Desmond Ridder is playing.
I feel like, anybody who, and now, of course, it's too bad that we don't get to see Kyle Pitts out there as well, but the future of this Atlanta offense could be very fantasy friendly, and this might be
Desmond Ridder was
peak.
my number one quarterback coming into this draft this year.
I remember.
I'm picking Lou.
We're all on Lou. And we're all on red, and we're torn between Max and I.
Yeah, that might be game of the week, actually.
Yeah.
I think it is between you and Max.
So
Okay, we got
I'm
two
just
more matchups.
week 1 of the playoffs. Alex is predicting Max as the skunk. Tim is predicting me as the skunk.
I predicted Max. I said Max, even though I want you.
You said you're picking Max to beat me.
Yeah, but Max has to win 2 games, Chun.
Oh, okay. And then I'm picking Matt. So it's Max, and Matt. All right, let's get to the games that count and matter.
They all matter.
You got the Rogue Scrappas playing nobody. Congratulations.
You made the semifinals.
You got the Commissioners playing nobody.
We have a, let's see, what does that come out to? We have a 1 in 25 or we have a 25% chance to get our money back, right, Tim?
Yep.
All right. First game. Kef
Maybe it's like more of a
and Mr.
50%.
Unlimited versus Ball Hogs.
Yeah, it's
I
true.
really like Kef's lineup: Dak Prescott, Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor. Those two running backs are unstoppable, especially this late in the year. It's ground and pound time. Colts are looking to get W's, maybe to keep Jeff Saturday, or maybe just to prove who they are. Derrick Henry against the LA Chargers, he's going to run wild. Mike Williams also on the Chargers. He's playing against Tennessee. Christian Kirk, Dalton Schultz, James Conner, Roquan Smith, and the 49ers defense playing tomorrow night and Thursday night football. I think tomorrow night Geno is going to show who he is, and the Niners are going to tear him apart.
Yeah, looking at his team, it's certainly James Conner season in Arizona right now, with question marks at the quarterback position. And then Jonathan Taylor and the Colts have the benefit of this very late season bye. So they're coming off a week's rest. They're going to be fresh.
I am a little torn on the Christian Kirk play over Chris Olave.
Maybe they had a bye 2 weeks ago.
Looking at
Sorry
that.
if I was incorrect. Did they have a bye last week or 2 weeks ago?
Who?
The Colts.
The Colts, I think 2 weeks ago. 3 weeks
last
ago.
week. It was last week.
It
Last
was?
week?
Okay.
Yeah, because I played Kefler. You didn't have Jonathan Taylor then. I agree, Sean. I was just looking at the Christian Kirk play. I think Dallas is gonna roll Jacksonville, and I don't know what the hype about Christian Kirk is, honestly.
He's a team's number one.
He's the 11th ranked wide receiver on the season, but it has been up and down.
Yeah, he's it doesn't. I'm not a huge fan. I think Chris Olave has a much better matchup and a better floor playing Atlanta this week. I mean, you're looking at like an offensive rookie of the year. So I definitely think that's the play. I would even play Lazard maybe over Christian Kirk this week. It'll be interesting in Arizona without Kyler Murray. I know everyone's loving James Conner right now. He certainly has put up the numbers to prove it the last 4 weeks. But Denver, they've got a little bit of pride. You saw a little bit of old Russell last week, who's hurt, got knocked the fuck out, but stayed in the game. Perhaps that always earns you respect in the locker room. So you could see maybe Denver start to play a little tougher to finish the season here.
And the game is at Mile High.
Yeah, it's been a dumpster fire. They've got to have some pride. So I don't know if I love the Cardinals either, even this week without Murray. So I think we were really kind of scared of Kefler for a bit there. Even Jonathan Taylor, I don't think the Colts are that great. I mean, they're one dimensional, and Minnesota's a good team, and it's in Minnesota, and they get loud there. So I'm not really loving Kefler's lineup here. Collins' team. Mac, you want to run us through that one?
Yeah, he's this team that we made fun of for kind of being a little senile at the beginning of the year. All of a sudden looks pretty young and fresh when you see Justin Fields' name at the top, right? And then you go down and yes, DK is a veteran in the league, but we still think of him as a younger player.
In his prime.
And then, yeah, definitely in his prime. Yeah, thank you. And then Jerry Jeudy in the flex, who has had some injury-plagued seasons, doesn't have as much wear and tear on his legs as some other wide receivers that came out the same year as him. And now all of a sudden he's playing his best ball of the year. You add that explosiveness and that excitement with the safe floors that McCaffrey provides with an average of 18 points. Zeke has been one of the better RB2s on the entire year. DeAndre Hopkins, who, I mean, Colt McCoy is very serviceable. He can at least get the ball out to him, and in half-point PPR, that's all you're looking for. And then, of course, Kelsey's production speaks for himself, or speaks for itself. Specialty positions are very even. In this
Josie Jewell. I've been fucking. I every year I try to find that IDP in the rough.
Yeah.
And Josie Jewell's the guy. He had 2 picks last week.
Yeah,
Collins somehow just randomly picked him up.
Yeah, he's a weak winner for sure, right? But then Roquan Smith can do the exact same thing. He can have 12 tackles, a sack, and an interception. So it's a wash down below. which means I'm looking at really the studs here. That's what, you dance with who brought you. And even though Fields is questionable,
In a
and
tough
playing against a tough Philly team, yeah, I think that he's going to be asked to do more in that game than maybe Dak would be asked to do against Jacksonville. I mean, the Texans turned over Dak twice last week with interceptions, and so they might focus more on the ground game, which leads towards Collins' play of Ezekiel Elliott. I understand everything that you're saying about Jordan's other players as well in their tough matchup. The projections are close. It's Colin by 6, and I think I'm going to have to side with those.
Yeah, the thing about Dak, when Dallas put up 54 a couple weeks ago, put up 54 points. Dak Prescott didn't even have 20 fantasy points. They're a run-first team.
They're a run-first team that defense can score a touchdown at the drop of a hat and put them in a position to where they don't have to throw the ball as much. So, yeah, even though he's the quarterback on a winning team and very capable of throwing for 400 yards, we've seen it before, he's just not asked to do that this year.
I've got Colin, if you couldn't figure that one out yet.
Yeah.
I'm picking Kef. Like I said, Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, run heavy. I have faith in Dak Prescott. Mike Williams came out last week and had a coming out party. James Conner's going to run the ball. Roquan Smith is good for at least 10 to 18 to 20 points, depending how Tim wants to rig the league. And then 49ers defense playing Thursday night against the Seahawks. We know it'll be a low-scoring game. And I think the Niners defense will tear apart the Seahawks with Ken Walker coming back from injury.
Well, the fun thing is we'll have a good feel for this after tomorrow night, right? And we should say as well, there's 3 Saturday games this week. So make sure you check your lineups and be paying attention to anybody who may be questionable heading into those games. But with DK on Collins' team and the Niners defense on Jordan's team, they're going to have an opportunity to cannibalize some points from each other early on.
Get a running start.
Yeah.
And Kef is my dark horse champion.
I like it. Morgan. Okay, so it's Jordan, Colin.
Yep.
All
and
right,
I should say, Tim, you had the best picks last week you've had all year long.
All right.
Yeah, last week, where is it at? Last week you went 3-3.
Damn. I've been that bad, huh? Holy shit.
I went 1-5. It was my worst week I've had. Ronnie went 3-3.
3-3 is my best. Jesus.
Shout out to Ronnie. That was a fun episode.
All right, final game.
Yep,
final game. Gritty Boy versus Damn It Bobby. Well, is Bobby still interested in the league? Who knows? Bobby's rolling out Joe Burrow, DeAndre Swift, and Travis Etienne. DeAndre Swift playing against the Jets and Travis Etienne playing against Dallas. Etienne's had some fumbling issues all year long. That line's going to be crashing down on them. So I don't know if Travis Etienne is a safe play, even though I like him. T. Higgins is in the lineup. Jamar Chase is back now. Garrett Wilson playing against Detroit. Taysom Hill at tight end. And Ramondre Stevenson. Do we know if he's in, out, whatever? He wasn't at practice today.
Not even at practice.
Yeah, and I want to go back to T. Higgins for the same reason, because last week he's cleared to play, doesn't enter the game with an injury designation, and then they just decide to hold him out the entire game. So
yeah,
that sucks.
It's the fucking Bengals coaching staff, going way back before Zach Taylor to the Marvin Lewis days and stuff, has just always been suspect with the way that they handle their players sometimes. And so
Bobby's had some key injuries as well, with Cooper Kupp, Zach Ertz, Juju Smith-Schuster missing a couple games.
Yeah, that's fair.
DeAndre Swift was out a couple games. Maybe Bobby should have got injury prone.
That's the thing about that award is everyone's gets the majority of teams suffer some injury, you know?
Yeah, the tough thing about dealing with the injuries, though, this time of year, back to my point about Higgins and now Ramondre, too, is where it's like, do you want to play a guy who might go out there and after first contact say, this feels a little funny, and then you're sitting
They're
on
done.
a goose egg or half
They're
point or
tapping the
something?
head.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if Bobby's still listening, but he usually takes our advice for better or worse. He's got to get Juju back in there against Houston. That he's a must play this week. He's back in rhythm with Mahomes. Houston is dog shit. Get Juju in there and get Devin Singletary in there. He is not relinquishing that RB1 spot in Buffalo. I know Cook has had more touches, more snaps, but I think Devin Singletary is still good for maybe a goal line touchdown or something like that. Certainly would want to play him over Stevenson as well. So Juju in there for Higgins, Singletary, or shit, man. You just picked up Atwell. Maybe Atwell's your flex.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Juju and Devin play. I feel like those are just, and we're dealing in certainty this time of the year. And with the injury concerns to those other two players that he has in right now, for me, that's too ick. No thanks.
Yeah, got to pass. Gritty boy, he's rolling out T-Law, Trevor Lawrence against Dallas. We talked about this earlier. This is new quarterback. Not sure I love that matchup, but that's who he's rolling with. Aaron Jones playing the Rams on Monday night in LA. That's pretty good. Tony Pollard against Jacksonville. Tony Pollard is an up-and-coming star. Justin Jefferson, we know he's been perennial Pro Bowler now. He's got the Colts at home. Jalen Waddle, tougher matchup in Buffalo. I'm so grateful I have a bye, so I don't have to deal with that. George Kittle Thursday at Seattle. Seattle can't cover tight ends. Doesn't matter. We'll see how that goes. David Montgomery, tougher matchup, I think, against Philly, even if it's at home. And then specialty positions, he's got Denver's defense against Arizona. I actually do like that one because Arizona's have Murray. He's sitting Mike Evans. Mike Evans, I think, has just let him down too many times this year. He hasn't scored more than 10 points since week 8. That's like 2 months ago.
Evans is one of those just I'll never draft him kind of guys.
He's just a headache.
Yeah.
But maybe this is the week. I mean, Tampa's got to win. This is the final stretch of the season. Maybe this is the week. He's got Jonathan Knight on the bench too. And Jonathan Knight has been
Give me Jonathan over David Montgomery.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Especially with Detroit's defense. I think you definitely get Jonathan in there instead of Montgomery. That's the right move. And then you might even look at benching Waddle for Evans because it's not like Waddle has a safer floor. He has a higher ceiling for sure, and maybe they throw more. But
the Dolphins
4 points last week, 1 point the week before.
They want a W. They're going to use Waddle.
Yeah, and I would love to look at Tim, you're so right. You are dodging a huge bullet with not having to play Tua and Tyreek in that game. I'd be nervous for any Dolphins players this week because I would love to know what the split is from that South Florida team that's used to playing in all that humidity going up to Buffalo after
the weather it's like blizzard in the Northeast.
After Thanksgiving time. You could certainly see that game hitting whatever the under is, which I'm sure is not above 48 or 49. So you're looking at a couple touchdowns per team. The chances of Waddle getting one of those isn't that high.
Yeah, did you guys see the video of Mike McDaniel at practice today?
No.
He's vibing to YG, walking through the crowd with a shirt that says, "I wish it was colder."
Well, okay.
Mentality. Points. Let's go, Miami. I love that guy. Go Fins.
I'm picking Camille. He's got I mean, we've said it all year. He's got this fearsome foursome of players, even though Mike Evans is on the bench. But
I
Justin
would love to
Jefferson,
see some
Jalen
different
Waddle,
lineups.
George Kittle, and then now Tony Pollard and Aaron Jones are stepping up because it's playoff time. I'm going Camille.
I would love to see some different lineups here, but even if they did switch it up, I think you're right, Chun. I think the Tony Pollard, Aaron Jones, Justin Jefferson, Kittle.
Yeah, we know the Seahawks can't stop a tight end.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a big game for Kittle. I don't see it for Bobby. We talked about it earlier, so I got Camille as well.
I know we're running real long, but it's our last opportunity to talk a little Seahawks football here.
Oh, we totally forgot.
Let's just real quickly, as we're talking about Kittle.
Talk, a podcast within a podcast.
Talk.
As we're talking about Kittle, do we think the Niners come in
Hey, someone's still listening.
and knock the Seahawks down to 500, 7-7, or do the Seahawks pull out some old school magic with guys like Sherman in the building and Cam and Cliff and all those boys will be on the sideline? You think that's enough to send them over the top here? I mean, we're playing against Mr. Irrelevant, right? Like, Seahawks got to get up for this.
I'm picking the Niners. Christian McCaffrey's going to run all over. George Kittle's going to have 2 tuds.
Big Al Woods got hurt last week, which is a bummer. I'm not sure if he's able to make it back in time for this game.
Even with Al Woods, they couldn't stop a running back.
Sure, but it's a lot harder if he's not there.
So the defense did have like a span a couple months ago of a few weeks where it seemed to improve. It was like when they first pulled Cody Barton out and they were playing more Bear 46 or whatever, and then they totally lost it again. And I think it's that defensive line is just not playing as a unit. And they've been fucking up for the last few weeks. So it's like, this is the Seahawks season. It's the now or never moment. If they don't win this game, they're done. They're not making the playoffs. And I do think I hope it'll be more competitive than we think, because everything on paper shows right now from the last few weeks' performances, 49ers should steamroll the Seahawks. But as you said, Alex, Richard Sherman's in the building. It's a home game. It's a primetime game. Pete gets his boys rallied for these games. And I think they've had enough of a rough stretch to where maybe finally they figure it out and they at least make it close.
Well, and here's the thing too.
They win, but I think this is still a game in the fourth quarter.
That Panthers game literally was the definition of a trap game, right? A sub 500 team coming into town when you have a divisional opponent waiting on deck for a primetime matchup. You could tell that they underestimated that squad and they got their butts kicked, rightfully so.
Well,
they can make
the Raiders.
They can, correct, but this, with the Niners looming last week, you could just really feel it. This week now they have a chance to make amends for that, and if they had already been looking ahead a little bit, whatever they've got schematically in store for these guys or whatever, throw the kitchen sink at them and treat this game like it's a 1-game playoff. And
expect a fake punt, fake field goal, some shit like that.
Something, being more aggressive on 4th down. I think that Pete is good enough to get his guys up off a short week. They didn't have to travel, thankfully. I will be at the game, so I won't be able to see like what all the analysts pick at the bottom of the screen. But if everyone's on the Niners, I like the Seahawks' chances. Then if they're going to be underestimated in this matchup for sure, and I think they play their best when their back's against the wall.
Thanks for bringing that up. Go
Come
Hawks.
to your local tap room, Gig Harbor Brewing Company, Thursday nights. Come meet us.
Wheel spins during the game, right? Something like that.
That's been Hawk Talk.
Hawk Talk.
Okay. Having said that, I'm going with Camille in this matchup.
We're all on Camille.
Okay, a lot of consensus here.
I do have a question for you too. As the 1 and 2 seeds, what team of these scares you the most out of these 4 that are playing today? Which team are you like, I don't want to see them?
Colin.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
I feel pretty good right now. Whatever happens at this point. It's great. We made the playoffs. I'm excited to watch fucking Skunk Bowl, man.
Yeah, for sure.
This could be a precursor. I could win, or Max could beat me this week, and I lose the next 2, and Max and I could meet back up.
That's
Absolutely.
exactly how it would work. Yeah.
And we could meet 3 times this year.
Yeah, that's funny.
That would be epic. All right. Thank you all for joining us. Congratulations
Thanks,
to
homies.
our award winners. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to set your lineups. Good luck in the playoffs. God bless.
See ya.